kicking things off with 2 of the new maps here in year 2.
We do. We're going to see a lot of sniper action to start this series off. Optic versus Sentinels. And we're starting off with a little bit of Argyle. So we do have that dual sniper rifle map to get us kicked off. And then we move over to Empyrean Slayer. Now, if you're wondering how Empyrean is pronounced, it is actually pronounced the pit. Just so you know that. It's spelled a certain way, but you know, we might...
Empyrean is actually Latin for the pit.
Exactly. It's very true. So that's where we're going to head for game number 2. Once again, 2 sniper rifles to play with. So certainly a chance for Optic and Sentinels to flex the muscles a little bit when it comes to power weapons.
Yeah, this will actually be the most sniper-heavy series layout you've seen yet in the Halo Championship Series. 4 snipers across the first 2. Livefire, of course, going to have a sniper rifle in play as well. So the headshots will be booming with big talent on both sides of the stage. If necessary, we'll go to Oddball Streets, Slayer Recharge to round out the series.
Now, speaking of the other side of the stage, we should obviously highlight the team who's going to be dressed in red here. That is Sentinels. Now, this roster has all of the components for success, right? We looked at this roster coming together. We know LethuL kind of left under the Sentinels banner, has now been joined by 3 new players to form this squad. Now, we have the right ingredients here, Andy. When you're looking at the player type, what they bring to the team, chemistry, experience, it all seems to be there. However, we don't really know where they stand at the moment in the tall order of all of the teams here in the Halo Championship Series.
That's right, the right ingredients, but you got to know how to cook. But hey, yo, let them cook.
Let them cook.
Let them cook. Let's see what they got in store for us this weekend here right away. Main stage on the first match of the day. The question is, where do they stack up in the lineup? Take a look at that expression on LethuL. Sometimes you see him joking around before a game. Arms are folded, though. I think this man's ready to go.
He's saying, where was my ring ceremony? That's what he's thinking right now. And we saw a couple of tweets flying about, which is quite interesting to talk about and kind of highlight, because going into the first series of new season, if you're Optic, you've just picked up your rings, you kind of think, how's this going to feel for us? We're going to be pumped up, or we're going to be thinking maybe there's a target on our back. But for Sentinels, for me, I think it's the biggest motivator you could possibly ask for.
Absolutely, right away. They just saw the World Championships get awarded the rings, and now maybe they can strip that title of them in the first match of the day. Here we go, baby. Season 2, map 1, going to be Argyle CTF, Optic Gaming, going up against Sentinels.
Now, Optic Gaming, this will be the perfect way to start for them. It's a map they've been incredibly strong in the build-up to this event. Look out for those sniper rifles, of course. They're going to be such an influence on creating openings for that flag to be run, but there's so much to explore and see, because we've been watching a lot of gameplay in the build-up to this, and we still feel like a couple of teams have still got a few things up their sleeve.
Absolutely. Now we're into game number 1. Welcome to year 2 of the Halo Championship Series. Optic Gaming up against Sentinels. Start things off with LethuL with some early damage against Lucid.
Perfect shots, almost takes down APG as well. It's going to be 2v2, make that just Kuhlect now left on his own, and the man who's got the sniper rifle in his hands is going to be Formal here. So we're going to have to see how Formal can perform. Currently sat at 2-0 and looking to lock down the vents.
You're taking a look exactly where that camo went. You can tell right here, Formal going to reset a few things there on the mix amp, make sure all the audio is dialed, but now zooms back in on the vent yet again. Have to see exactly where things play out here. You just heard a camo off screen. We'll keep an eye on that as well.
Kuhlect comes in with the repulse, manages to take down the sniper rifle player, and KingNick is going to be moving up now, and it's actually a bit of early pressure coming in from Sentinels here. Nick will pick up another, that's a double for him. APG going to back down to the top of the engine, and Nick's going to try and use that opportunity just to sneak into the flag, but APG, he's seen that play once or twice before, and he reads it perfectly.
Absolutely, APG now with sniper rifle in hand, also has a repulsor to play with, going to be very, very important on this map. Lots of creative ways to use that across really the entire map, as we see now. Formal falling yet again. APG going to just have to hold down vent here, and you can see how much of a back and forth stalemate there is top middle, really for that early control.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of battle around the 50-yard mark. We look to see sniper rifles being kept in the hands of players. They don't want to overextend, because if you give 2 sniper rifles away, you can really put yourself into some trouble. LethuL gets repulsed back, manages to pick up the kill, because unfortunately the battle rifle was empty to finish it off. But speaking of sniper rifles, here's Formal again, picking it up for the second time this game.
Ooh, nice little body shot there. That will be cleaned up right away. 2 dead for Sentinels. Maybe an opportunity here for Optic to get the first bit of control. Gets weak on Commando. It's a great sideline, but cannot get away from the angles of the plasmas as well as the elbow. He will fall, and once again, the joust for top mid continues.
See, Kuhlect was trying to fly and make a play on that camouflage. Camo is now up, and this can be the complete game changer. This is how you get behind enemy lines. You've already seen in these first few moments, Andy, and everyone watching at home, what a battle it can be to get past that 50-yard mark, to get inside of the base and formulate one of those spawn traps. The camo is a perfect way to do that. Maybe sneaking under the base here for TriPPPeY is another way.
Yeah, absolutely. That camo might have stayed on the top platform. Looks like, yes, indeed, it did not fall to bottom middle. middle, so it will be a continuous battle. We'll see exactly. There it is. Now, this will be the first potentially impactful camo of the game. First kill does come in for Formal as well. This will be a big kill if LethuL takes him down and shuts down Formal, with the camo sniper. Absolutely huge play there.
And you can see how Formal didn't want to fire his gun. He did not want to give away his position, but Kuhlect put enough pressure on that he had to be forced to give away his position. LethuL had a sightline, and LethuL cleans things up. Speaking of LethuL, 6-4 at the start of this game and looking pretty comfortable.
Yeah, certainly there. Once again, as we said, arms folded there. Sometimes you see LethuL really joking around on the stage with his teammates. Of course, surrounded by new teammates this season. Instead, it's arms folded from him as he looks to make a statement about this squad. There'll be 3 alive for both sides.
Been a bit of a war so far in this game. Nobody really been able to get into the base. We saw Nick trying to sneak through at one point. He almost got in. TriPPPeY managed to sneak in for just a second, but wasn't able to make much of it. Lucid challenges out aggressively to take down Nick after getting bodied himself. And yet again, we're still seeing that battle around mid-map. But Spartan, for the first time, he gets a sniper rifle in his hand. Can he pierce a couple of openings here, crack a couple of skulls just to force Sentinels forward?
Absolutely, and right now, Sentinels doing very well to stay toe-to-toe with the reigning world champions. Oh, good morning. Boy, we're getting started early here on Friday. Spartan with a nice little 180 no-scope for the double.
Moves in as well, and now you can see Formal's managed to get out, but everyone else is on the spawn trap, and Spartan's gonna be flying. If he hits one of these shots, it'll be pretty crispy, but instead he's gonna have to back down. No more sniper rifle ammo to play with, but the new one's popping in 5 seconds. Using that repulsor to sneak to the back of the base as well, and nobody from Optic has called him out. APG gets taken down, and there's 3 dead. TriPPPeY last alive, and Spartan's got him locked down as well, gets the trade, and Sentinels not only have this flag moving here, they also have the camo here in the hands of LethuL.
Big trade for TriPPPeY, but is it enough? Take a look at this. LethuL with camo up top mid, as you say. He knows the spawners exactly where they're coming from. They have been mapped. This flag should go home.
Should go home, but LethuL still has some work to do. Kuhlect picks up one, though. Now the flank from LethuL could be devastating to Optic's chances of pushing this flag back towards home. It's not going to happen, and Sentinels strike first in our game number 1 here. The world champions just picked up their rings. We're going to have to pick their game up now, Andy.
That's right, and rings might be on the hand, but the first flag is picked up by Sentinels, the brand new roster. They are looking good. We had questions about how this team was going to be in terms of team chemistry, right? You have an interesting cocktail of personalities and talent on this team, but so far, so good. It takes them about 4.5 minutes to play, and they strike first on the board, 1-0 in favor of Sentinels.
Once again, LethuL just locking down these vents. You can see what a priority position it is. You get so much line of sight on so many different positions on the map here on Argyle, and not only can you do damage, but it's communication. Where do we push? Where are Optic? Where do we take the space on the map? And that's something that Sentinels at the moment are doing extremely well. LethuL now decides it's time to get aggressive, but Formal shut him down. Nice little body shot and a clean up, but there's the exchange immediately coming in from Sen.
You and I talked a lot about Kuhlect on this roster. Maybe this is the roster that he's finally found as 3 do fall for Sentinels. Maybe this is an opportunity for Kuhlect, right? He finally has the veteran talent around him here. We saw great pop-off games from him last season, but we knew there was maybe a little bit more gas in the tank, and you have to think Kuhlect now the only player on 10 kills. He's had quite a performance so far.
He certainly has, and a lot of that good work that led up to the flag cap was because he had a sniper rifle in his hand. And power weapons and Kuhlect, trust me, you'll be hearing a lot more from us throughout the season talking about that combination of things. He really does know how to put them to use, but Formal, he's put it to use at the moment. He picks up one. TriPPPeY working together now with APG to get this flag moving, and it looks like Sentinels kind of split across the map. TriPPPeY's trying to play this one slow, but a vital kill here from LethuL is going to stop that flag for a second.
Yeah, LethuL gets a kill right there on E2. He's going to actually stop the flag entirely. Might also finish this kill on TriPPPeY. It's a nice stop from LethuL so far, and LethuL gets both and stays alive. It's perfect timing. Let's go over to the Sentinel side of the stage and get into a listen-in with this squad.
Watching Formal's close to
I'm just watching camo.
On it.
It's in the vent. Here's camo.
Who was it?
It was APG with camo.
Our plasma's weak. Our plasma's weak. Formal.
Naded.
He's weak. One shot. One shot.
One shot.
I got killed by our front piece. He's R1. He's our plasma's with camo. In our flag. In our flag.
Where do I camo goes?
Yeah, it's on mid.
Lift.
Yeah, I'm gonna die.
I got one. Or Mando?
One shot on my dog. I know a sniper. Yo, sniper our window. Our window. 2-way window. Last guy.
Last guy. One shot.
He's our high cuts. Our high cuts Lucid.
Grab him back our flag.
There was a sniper down our window somewhere.
Grab him back our flag, guys.
Yeah, he's in our basement or something.
Yeah, he's on me.
Our pistol on me.
Nice. Alright, 1 minute for camo.
Brad, one shot. They're long. He's going. They're coil. They're coil to bottom mid. One shot. APG. He's got to be there. Or you? Yeah, he's there. One shot. They're coil. Nice K.
Two dead.
They're top pistol. TriPPPeY.
Okay. I'm sonoring.
He's their top pistol, TriPPPeY.
One's going their vent.
I see 2 of their pistols, TriPPPeY and Lucid. They're going their pistol door right now, I think.
They're vent,
Yeah,
trippy.
on me, right next to me.
They're vent,
coming,
trippy.
Well, Sentinels continuing to hold the line. You can hear the comms are looking pretty concise, pretty calm, as you would expect with a 1-0 lead, but LethuL had a sniper rifle. Unfortunately, he doesn't anymore because Trippy just blamed him.
Yeah, Trippy with a nice job there, but take a look at the composure you're seeing out of LethuL. Let's not forget this man is fresh off of a team change and a pretty big one there, a controversial one. He is looking so good in this game so far. He's 10-8 and a convincing bit of control from Sentinels early on as they still maintain their 1-0 lead.
Nick trying to get a little bit aggressive here with the sniper rifle as well. Body shot, and there's going to be Spartan. He can re-challenge because he knows Spartan's going to be moving in. If they can get these touches here, they'll be able to send this one home. They will be able to pick up the camo as well. And with Optic Gaming finding themselves 3 dead, it's a fantastic defensive play there for the Sentinels, all working together towards the same objective to make sure they lock down that camouflage.
This game is under complete control of the Sentinels roster. Look at that, 3 dead, and they get the camo off of that. Trades coming in there for LethuL as well. 3 dead though. Kuhlect now with the camo, needs to play this carefully. Lots of opportunity here. He doesn't waste it. Oh boy, the double for Kuhlect.
Oh, you love to see it. I mentioned how this man has got ability. He has got talent. And that is a perfect example of it. Give him power weapons and just let him go to work. Let him have fun on the map. He can lock down half a map on his own here on Argyle.
I mean, yeah, as you say, on his own, last player alive, camo needed to hit those snipes, and he hits them both against Formal and APG. Talk about an introduction to year 2. Kuhlect has come to play.
Trippy though, pushing forward, but LethuL needs to set up a landmine there for a few seconds, and unfortunately, Trippy found out a little bit too late, shooting those plasma grenades to make sure that that push was not going to be easy. But Optic do have 2 players dead here from Sentinels. That's why you're seeing such a slow pace here from LethuL. Knows he has to survive, knows he has to delay to let spawners come in. Can Optic take advantage of this though? Sentinels find themselves 3 dead. APG with another opportunity for a flagpole. Now they find themselves 4 dead. Optic have a chance here to retaliate and tie this game up at 1-1.
Based off the spawn timings, this flag should go as well. Lots of damage on E1, however, because that kill did not convert, this should almost secure the cap.
Getting it past that 50-yard line is massive. All the lines of sight, once you get around this corner, are pretty much eliminated. However, Sentinels all alive. LethuL will fall, Kuhlect will fall, and that was why you saw the stutter step.
Yep.
APG needed to see some kills in the feed. He saw them, runs this one home, and Optic tied up at 1-1.
And as you hear this crowd in Charlotte, happy to see that flag on the board. Optic Gaming, sometimes they take a little bit of time to warm up here at these majors, and that's no problem for them. They're now tied 1-1. Took them quite a little bit of time, 10 minutes of play before they got that first flag on the board.
Speaking of time in the game as well, there's only 2 minutes left, which would mean a flag pull and a flag cap here could well be the winning and deciding flag between these 2 teams. It has been an absolute ding-dong battle between them in this game number 1 of our first major of the year in Season 2. But you have to say another thing that's kind of stood out for me is how efficient both teams have been. Really, one opportunity to pull on either side and both been converted.
Absolutely now. Nice kill once again from Kuhlect. It will be 2 dead for Optic Gaming, and once again, the battle for top mid will continue. As we've seen in the qualifiers, you often need to slay at least once, often twice the shots from Lucid. Maybe now the man's heating up. They've got 1 minute and 20 left before we head to overtime.
Yeah, Kuhlect's got 20 kills, but he probably should have 21 in that situation. The problem is the man he was up against in that battle rifle fight was called Lucid, and Season 1 MVP, you can see exactly why. Kuhlect is going to come back for a little bit of revenge, though, and just remind him that he's still in this game, and Optic find themselves 3 dead once again. Trippy's been spotted out as well, inside of the vent. The question is, can they collapse on this kill quick enough to formulate a push forward? 2 dead still for Optic.
What you gotta love about Kuhlect is this man has clearly put in the hours. Stays alive again, yet again. Getting good damage against Fornal, and Nick will clean that one up. 21 and 16 in this game, and he showed up here in game number 1. So far, 45 seconds left in regulation.
Nick's hitting some good shots here. Kuhlect get another trade, and Optic can't get out of their base at the moment. Nick's just got them pinned in. Formal gets bodied, Formal gets finished, and this is a real opportunity here with APG as the last player alive for Sentinels to get another run going. But where is the support? Nick is trying to play this one slowly, trying to wait for teammates to get back on the map before he makes his play. Kuhlect might be that player to watch.
What a play from APG. You just saw him get that kill on Spartan, who was on the flag for the pull. That's APG, a solo effort denying the run. He will delay it and buy them a bit of time.
Nick trying to be aggressive, trying to push in. Needs to try and bait for his teammates, though. Will do it perfectly. 2 players fall now for Optic. Sniper rifle coming up as well. This could be a massive moment in this game. Lucid cleaned up. Last player alive is Trippy. Nick has got all the work to do here, just staying alive. And by doing so, he's such a distraction. The flag is moving, and Sentinels could take this one home.
Trippy gets taken down. Only 2 players alive for Optic. Spartan even crosses the halfway line.
It's sudden death here. This would be the game-winning flag. Shields are broken, but the spirit is strong here for Sentinels. They just need to run this one home. Spartan will do so, and Sentinels take home game number 1 in our first series of the day.
My God, if you wanted a way to start off year 2, how about this? The title holders, Optic Gaming, dropping game number 1 in sudden death overtime. And the brand new roster, LethuL and the boys, take game number 1, Argyle CTF, already putting Optic Gaming against the green wall.
A long way to go, of course, in the series. A long, long way to go in this series. However, we mentioned how in the build-up to this event, maybe, those qualifiers, they were a wake-up call for Optic. You spoke to Lunchbox. He said the same thing.
Yep.
Losing game 1 on the main stage, well, it's time to wake up now.
Absolutely, and like we said, maybe it was a good thing that happened to this Optic Gaming roster that they happened to fall in those qualifiers with narrow games. However, already in game number 1, falling to Sentinel. Take a look at the stats here from that match.
Yeah, Kuhlect the standout on the Sentinel side, but you're looking across the board here. I think that's standing out for me, kind of the assists, to be honest with you. The assists across the board, really, really strong for Sentinels. Everybody contributing to kills, and to be honest, nobody really having a lackluster game. Everybody doing a great amount of damage, everybody doing what they would expect to create space with those KDs that you're seeing, but Kuhlect for me. There was certain moments in that game where he got the power weapon, he got the sniper rifle in his hand, and he can just make something happen, make something out of nothing.
Absolutely, and in the end, outslaying Optic 74-67, and doing it in fashion. They will take game number 1, as you see on your screen, and they start to build a wall of red. We'll see if they can continue it in this series. We talked about Kuhlect a lot last year. He had pop-offs. We knew there was potential. The question for you and I, as we said earlier, was does he now have a veteran team of talent that he's surrounded himself that gives him the environment to succeed? The answer in game number 1 was undoubtedly yes.
What a game number 2, though. What a game number 2 to set things up here. Empyrean Slayer, brand new map. For Halo Infinite, of course. But the fact that we have an option now for Sentinels to really put pressure on Optic, if they get an early lead here and force Optic to have to make plays to try and claw that lead back, that puts a lot of pressure onto Optic. And with all due respect, I know it's only 1 game, let's not get carried away with things here, but some concerned looks on the side of Optic Gaming right now.
Certainly, I think they need to be. I think, as we said, Optic Gaming is a team that won the World Championship last year due to their culture of excellence. They slowly built over the year, great online results. They dropped a little bit lower at LAN. Eventually, they built themselves to a playoff winning team and a World Championship team, as you saw from tweets and streams from Lucid, from TriPPPeY, talking about how they only want to pursue excellence in and out of the game. And you have to think, coming into the first major of the year, dropping game number 1, not how they intended. However, if there's one thing we know about this Optic Gaming team, they are a resilient team, they dig deep, and you know that they're not going to be getting down on themselves just yet.
Yeah, long way to go, as I say, and I'll keep repeating because it's a best of 5. Nothing was ever won in the first game of the series, but it certainly does give you a pretty good foot on the ladder towards what you would have to call an upset in this pool. But for Optic, certainly some questions to be answered. And the reason that I wanted to kind of highlight Empyrean as game number 2 as well is because we were watching the grand finals back, the Optic FaZe grand finals a few times, and kind of trying to work out how Optic approached Pit TS.
Yeah.
I did it for the first time, everybody. There you go. It was me who called it Pit for the first time. Empyrean TS, thank you. And it was very interesting to see how they actually played it in comparison to some of the other teams that they were up against. Optic were very passive, very, very passive.
Yes.
Even when they had multiple power weapons to play with, even when they had opportunities to push with power, they wanted to let their opponents make the mistake. My question is now, as we head into this game number 2, is that something they've recognized? Is that something they've tried to address? Or is that something we're going to see and may play into the hands a little bit of Sentinels?
Absolutely, you have to think the answer is yes. When they've reviewed the VODs, anyone who caught the last Charlotte qualifier, of course, you have to look at that tape and you have to think we had at times 2 snipers. We had mid-map, we had green control. However, in the example of their FaZe series, they let FaZe get over shields and push against them. And Optic Gaming, that's pretty uncharacteristic for them. When they identify advantages, they push them immediately. They don't waste any time, and they have perfectly coordinated timing pushes. They will need to change their strategy on Empyrean Slayer from what we saw in the qualifier into the main stage today if they want to find success.
They will do indeed, and all eyes on the Optic Gaming side at the moment, all eyes on Formal, of course, as well, and you know, amazing performance, amazing comeback season to Halo that we saw, finished with a World Championship. You can't really have a better season than that, to be honest with you. Lucid, the MVP, but I think something that we highlighted after those rings were given out, and credit where credit's due, Optic, best team in Season 1. This is a new season. The target is on your back now. Every single team change that has happened has been designed and formulated to beat Optic Gaming.
Right.
Getting to the top is tough. Staying there, it's a cliche for a reason, is even tougher.
Really is, and that's going to be the true test for Optic Gaming, not just at the Charlotte Major, but truly for the whole year. Can they secure another World Championship, the third Halo World Championship for the organization? It goes without saying that that's what they have their eyes set on. However, it will be a long road, not just this weekend, but all year long if they want to do what has never been done before. We'll take a look at their game type breakdown as well, as we hear that we have an audio tech on the stage. Just taking a look at the audio on the Optic Gaming side of the stage. We'll get into the game as fast as we can. Of course, when we look at Pit Slayer, take a look at their qualifier record here. Optic traditionally a very strong Slayer team. Take a look, 7-3 in the qualifier, so coming in pretty good with a Slayer record.
Yeah, they certainly, you did it as well. Like, got it.
I thought I said Imperium.
Well, I got it out of the way though, so now
Pretty sure I said Imperium, just really quickly.
It's a free-for-all now,
Period.
don't worry. I opened the bottle. Don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, let's talk about the game, it's more important. Yeah, I think you make some really good points here. The fact that this is a Slayer game type that Optic have been historically very, very strong on as well, not just in the qualifiers and the build-up to this, but on the same side, you know, Sentinels, I think one thing that I'm keeping my eyes on, there's a few keys to success here for Sentinels in this roster, right? One is, it's a very silly thing to say, but just keeping deaths down. Because we were highlighting the series they lost, there was a couple of players, and I'm going to highlight Nick, where his deaths were outweighing the kills by not a significant amount, but there were so many of them. So he'd go 19 and 19, for example, which is fine. And in that last game, he went 18 and 18.
Yeah.
It's a lot of deaths for a game. That was a longer game, so maybe not the best example of it. Because Nick is a player who wants to make plays, right? He wants to be aggressive, he wants to step forward, he wants to be the bait for his teammates to take advantage of it. And sometimes, as that kind of player, you can get picked apart a little bit if you don't get the support from a teammate. That doesn't show up in the statistics. If Nick can play his life a little bit more and keep those deaths slightly, I'm not saying like a huge amount down, I'm saying like 2, 3, 4 deaths down, it means he's in the game. It means he's alive and able to influence the game for a little bit longer, make a few more of those plays. And I think in that game number 1, I was actually very impressed by the way that Nick actually approached it, because you saw on the front of that base, maybe if that's online, maybe if that's a scrim, he's jumping in straight away. He's trying to think about a flagpole immediately.
Yeah.
Just took that extra step, extra little bit of patience, waited for the support to come in, and then made the play that ended up pretty much converting into the role of events that turned into that final flag cap. So I think Nick has obviously identified that. I think the Sentinels maybe have identified that. And by playing a little bit slower in those aggressive situations, can just make sure they've got the help that they need in order to get those flags moving or pick up those kills they need.
Absolutely, I could not agree more, especially when we took a look. APG wins the 1v1 against Spartan, and that puts them in a tough position because they have no candidate for the flag carrier in that position. And you could not be more correct. What we saw Sentinels do there is they slow down, they let the opponent spawn, they get back into position. KingNick sits front base, helps the team to secure the game-winning flag, and we are ready to get into game number 2. Sentinels with a 1-0 lead.
Wow, I'm locked into this series. I tell you what, it's been a little bit of a wait for game number 2 to get underway. But you can see the score on your screens. It's lit up on those LED panels. Sentinels lead Optic Gaming by 1-0 as we head into our game number 2. Imperium Slayer double snipes once again. Sniper rifles are on the menu.
And everything to play for off the opening here, of course, a classic map in the Halo franchise, and you're gonna see a lot of weapons to fight for right away off of the opening rip of the game. This is map number 2. Imperium Slayer, can Optic Gaming answer back and tie the series 1-1, or will we see Sentinels with a 2-0 lead as the 50th kill comes in?
Yeah, Sentinels probably thinking we win this one. We're on match point, pretty much. We've got an opportunity to convert the series. And that would be a real story here, but for Optic, it would not be a shock. It would not be a surprise to see them bounce back in this game number 2 in quite some style.
Kuhlect flies past the sniper. Take a look at that. He gets beamed, tries to get it. No! Great overshield grab coming in early in the game from TriPPPeY. He just beats Kuhlect to the punch. That'll be an early advantage for Optic Gaming in terms of power, but it gets nuked. Body shotted by the sniper rifle. Everything even here at 1.
One sniper rifle either side of things. Spartan has it for Sentinels. Lucid, as you can see on your screen, he's got it for Optic. But where did those rockets go? There's your answer. Sentinels managed to get those into their hands and will be able to lock down the entirety of the high side of the map. So power control is in the hands of Sentinels, coming out on top massively in that opening break.
First rocket connects, and that's all you need to do in green. You just hold that angle. It's easy to hold. 2-1 here. Very few kills coming in, and we talked about 50 kills to win the game, but oftentimes, and the qualifiers included, sometimes these games don't go all the way to the 50 mark, and you can tell that teams are going to play these slowly. They need to play the advantages, only pushing when they have true maybe 50% or more chance to get the kills that they need.
Very interesting to see this. You can see KingNick, well, Spartan picks up another kill in the kill feed, by the way. Being escorted, or I should say, excuse me, Kuhlect being escorted by his teammate KingNick with those rockets to make sure they get the heat wave as well. So, I mean, imagine right now if you're Optic Gaming, you walk into Sword, you've got a rocket, you've got a heat wave, you've got Spartan staring at you with a sniper rifle as well, and he's already hit 2 big headshots. But Formo's going to make the play here. He's going to make this a 1-kill game. One thing that can change it is this drop ball, Andy. We were really highlighting this when we were looking at games in the build-up.
Yeah, Lucid right away putting that drop ball to use, and we're going to keep an eye on that, of course, all weekend long. Somehow Spartan stays alive there, as I just said, tied to 3-3, and Optic Gaming has played this very well. We'll get over to their side of the stage and get ready for a listen here with Optic Gaming.
Yeah, they're training. Mid-bridge.
Mid-bridge, pushing you.
Our side, Joey, one shot. Are you on the bridge?
Nice.
Oh, they're training pit. Left long, our sword. One shot.
2 dead. OS and rockets are 20, guys. He's in sword. One shot, absolutely. Nice. Okay, 15 seconds for everything, guys. 2 dead.
Yeah. I'm gonna
They're
start
training.
playing
They're
towards
training
green.
right now.
They're in the bridge.
Blink for OS. Blink for OS.
Alright.
Our green?
We might need help with green. They're going to be on
Yeah,
rockets.
there's two here.
There's two here.
I can flank this, guys. I'm alone over here, guys. Yo, our green. Nice, one more long all.
They're going to probably be on rockets.
Long all, two long all.
Absolute long time.
Alright, rockets are open then. Rockets are open then.
Got him.
One shot
long, we didn't kill
Yo,
us.
come here. Take. I'm bringing this back.
Yeah,
Bring
long,
this
yeah.
with the West, guys.
Take these
on me. Take those.
Yeah.
They're green.
They're down our training.
There's two. There's training. Take them.
That's in the base, guys. Get ready for
They're
this.
green. They're in the train pit.
He's got to milk as hard as you can. We're not here, Matt.
I'm coming, man. I'm 3 trying to
Second on me.
There's training right now.
Wait, after they're long. Thing there on the second.
That's absolute.
They are.
That's absolute.
They are.
Lethal. Yeah, another one needle pit.
Nice,
One's
dead,
a
guys.
They're
This
needles,
is
needles some.
Yep.
Let's do
Push
it.
into the base.
Trying to look, Tommy. Trying to look over you.
Two
One more, I'll
dead.
be there. They're flagged, they're flagged.
That's got their sniper.
Watching
Sniper's
Matt,
up,
watching
Brad.
Matt, watching Matt.
Where's
And take
He
these
was
time.
flagged.
He was flagged. I'm watching cuts.
We have to take our time here. Brad is
Watch
going for our
flag.
snipe.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
they
right
are
there.
all,
Skip
they're
both
all
the
flag
sides.
side.
Brad,
High bottom
Matt
tower.
backed up. Matt backed up.
Oh, bait me, guys, bait me.
I got you.
Yo, mate near me.
They're cut. They're
Flag
flag.
KingNick. Cuts.
Flag
They're
it.
first as well. Might go through long, guys. They could
Yeah,
go through
too long.
long.
Yeah,
Push
Matt
long.
is watching.
In long. Our needles.
Well, it's the perfect time to listen in with Optic Gaming as they picked up everything that you needed there. They got the overshield, they got the new sniper, they got the Sentinel sniper, and the rocket launcher, and that is why you're seeing this lead completely flip on its head. And again, we were talking about Empyrean Slayer. This is going to be one of the most mentally testing game types that we've ever had in Halo for any team who's involved, because you're going to see 15 kill swings, 20 kill swings, but you're not out of the game. You have to keep that in mind.
Wow, look at that confidence from Formal. Even though the nade hits, he does not back down and holds the angle. Really a very different game two here for Optic Gaming. They were down 3-1 at the beginning of that listen, and now they're up 17-6 and really controlling every single lane. As you said, the power-ups as well, and Formal's not afraid. He hits the shot on LethuL on the tower, continues to challenge, and this has so far been a runaway game for Optic Gaming. But as you say, Mark, this game is not over until we get to the home stretch. Still a lot of time to play for, and you can really mount huge comebacks here on Empyrean Slayer.
Sentinel's just got to kind of slow things down a little bit here. Got to make sure that they keep the deaths minimum, the impact of these power weapons, until that new set of weapons comes up. Then they have to fight for it again. But at the moment, they're just letting a few kills kind of slip away that maybe they would look back on after the game and think, we could have just played this a little bit slower, tried to bait out a few of the sniper rifle bullets, whatever it might be, because at 20-8, it's a pretty significant lead at this point for Optic Gaming.
Really is, and look at Kuhlect here, 1-5. Not the same start that we saw in that last game. We do have to keep an eye on power weapons coming up now. And Formal with really the opposite start. He's 7-1 in this game.
Lucid picks up one, APG picks up another. That's going to be the second rocket launcher in a row now going to Optic Gaming, and that has been the difference maker. The rockets being secured consistently by one team, and they also, as you heard there, have got the plasma pistol. I'm pretty sure the Sentinels would have been able to secure that overshield by the sound of things and with the manpower that they sent there, and that's why you're seeing Optic play this slow. Formal picks up Nick again. And now APG is going to transition towards Sword, and with the overshield being spotted out, APG is thinking, you know what, we got a heat wave and a rocket, so I kind of fancy this battle.
Absolutely, APG could just turn these corners and now comfortably has control of the entire Sword area. Gonna just check these angles, he's gonna find LethuL. A little splash damage, that'll be cleaned up as well. It's 25-8, and Optic Gaming is back here on the main stage. This is a commanding victory, and the crowd, path to victory. but the Charlotte crowd likes what they see on the stage.
They are starting to pick Sentinels apart a little bit here, and APG is currently sat at 7-2, and he's trying to pick up the Sentinel sniper rifle, not for the first time for Optic Gaming. This will be the second one they managed to steal if they can. However, APG under pressure has to just prioritize keeping his deaths down and being a nuisance. Making himself beautifully here, waiting for the help. Spartan sniffs him out.
Finally gets taken down, but you gotta talk not just about this game number 2, but what this scoreline is gonna do to the Sentinel side. They're coming hot off of a very impressive game number 1. All of a sudden, not only are they losing in game number 2, they're losing by nearly triple their score in a Slayer, and this might be the momentum that Optic Gaming needed here on day number 1.
Yeah, TriPPPeY's got a heat wave as well. Kuhlect picks up 1. APG cleans that damage up, and Formal's currently sat at 9-1. He's only died once in this game, and he's been controlling this sniper for so long now. A 31-11 is the score. Kuhlect.
Oh, what? Kuhlect with the repulsor 180 no scope. Gee whiz, we gotta see that from his
That
POV.
was horrible.
That was wild. Now, let's not forget, his team still trails 32-13, but maybe that's a little bit of a spark that Kuhlect needed.
Yeah, I mean, 32-13, but Kuhlect has just made one of the highlight plays probably the tournament. And he's gonna have to make a few more, to be honest with you. At the moment, Lucid's playing ping pong with Spartan's body. Kuhlect is gonna challenge again, and Kuhlect picks up 1. Gets the sniper rifle back here for Sentinels. Now, if they can get this overshield, if they can work towards the rockets, as crazy as it sounds, 32-14 on Empyrean Slayer is not game over. If they can make these weapons work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said it, because even though it does sound insane, Kuhlect's starting to really tap these bodies. He's taken down in the end, but even though it sounds insane, you can mount absurd comebacks here. However, APG with the rockets, that will slow things down and bring it back within the comfortable control of Optic Gaming, and Kuhlect tries to fly out of the Mangler corner, and he's greeted by a rocket. He'll be sent back to the death screen as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say there's a way back into this game, but giving the rockets away is not the way to get back into the game, and just those little picks now mean that this game is pretty much going to be done and dusted. It will be Optic will be able to tie things up 1-1, even with a little bit of time left in this game. TriPPPeY's top tower, and I tell you what, back on Halo 3, if someone was top of your tower, it was a problem. Here on Halo Infinite, if they've got weapons on the map and someone's top of your tower, it's a nightmare.
Absolute nightmare here. TriPPPeY just waiting to poison 40-16. This is a wild result that we've seen so far. 3:30 left on the clock, but you got to think Optic Gaming not going to need all that time as they look towards the home stretch.
TriPPPeY with a repulsor. Just Kuhlect backwards. 42-18. This game is moments away from its conclusion, I think, is the most political way I could put it.
I was going to say, that's probably the most broadcast-safe way to put exactly what's happening on the main stage here. An entire dismantling of Sentinels in game number 2. 6 kills to go for Optic Gaming, make it 5 as Lucid picks up another.
Yeah, you can see that I think Sentinels understand this one's done and dusted as well. They're trying to challenge, they're just trying to pick up the kills and get this game done as quickly as possible. Lucid's still being such a pain at the moment. Nick will clean him up, but Formal once again with the sniper rifle takes his stat line to 14-2. And any questions asked about Formal coming to this event certainly starting to be answered. There's 1, there's 2! Formal's back, baby!
Formal is back on the main stage looking and hunting for that 50th kill. That's going to fire him up as well. It's a Snaketacular on your screen, and Optic Gaming bounces back in the most enormous way in game number 2. What a win for them on Empyrean Slayer. They will tie up the series 1-1.
Now, what a turnaround that is, right? Sentinels, who would have been, I imagine, full of adrenaline, feeling really good after game number 1. 1-0 up in the series, get absolutely crushed in game number 2, which kind of resets the equilibrium a little bit as far as the mentalities are concerned. Optic now on the ascent, but as we know, staying pretty calm about it. How do Sentinels respond to that? Because that's not just a loss, that is a spanking.
That really is, 50-22. If I'm honest, we're looking over at the open bracket stations as well, and 50-22 is more likely a scoreline that you see in the open bracket early on, not something you see on the main stage. So that's a huge, huge margin for Optic Gaming. Maybe the bounce back that they needed, and you have to think for Sentinels, you can't even spend time thinking about that game. You've got to move on, go next, and focus up on game number 3.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe a learning experience as well for Sentinels. That game type can be the most unforgiving game type, like you've just seen. Sometimes it feels like there's nothing you can do. Right. When you've got go up against players who've got overshield, rocket, double snipers, like, what can you do in that position? But they have to find a way because there were situations in that game where, right at the start of the game, Sentinels had the better of the power on the map. And Optic were able to turn it around. Shots like this from Formal certainly help. The Formal with a stat line, I think it was 14-2 at the end of that game. Only did 2 deaths for him. And Sentinels certainly got some work to do on Empyrean Slayer, but for Optic, the perfect response.
Absolutely, and you got to think even Formal in the end ending at 16-2, even more numbers on the board. And we asked the question of will Optic push the advantage when they get it, and they really answered that question in a big way. As we said, they were down 3-1 early on. They slowed the game down, made sure to get the power weapons they needed, and from there they went on an absolute tear. They tie the series with a 50-22 win, and that sets us up for game number 3, Stronghold's live fire.
I love how game types have stories behind them now as well, right? We've just had 2 slower game types, I would say, that we have now in Halo Infinite, and now we go arguably to one of the quickest. We have live fire Strongholds, which at the start, we've talked about how Optic were so damn good at this right at the start of Halo Infinite. That fell away a little bit as people started to catch up and understand how the game type works and how Optic worked here on live fire, but it's a very interesting one because Sentinels, I think they're going to have the biggest questions asked in this game type that we're going to see in the series. Not only because of how the game type works and how unforgiving this can be in Strongholds, but also how do you get back into a series after a crushing defeat like we just saw in Empyrean.
Absolutely, and I also really love just how this series was built out. We saw both of the new game types, right? And these teams split them in pretty different ways now as we're tied 1-1. Now we get back into the classics. Now we're into the Season 1 game types that you saw, and as you said, it will be a fast-paced test at game number 3.
It will be, and I questioned how Sentinel's going to react to that. One player you want on your team after you've just got absolutely smashed on a game type, probably LethuL.
Yeah.
Because he will say something to bring the spirits back up. However sarcastic and dark it might be, it certainly is going to put a smile on the faces. You saw Kuhlect looking across at LethuL there, a little smile on his face. Spartan didn't look too bothered about the situation. He knows there's a lot more work to do.
Right.
And sometimes they're the intangibles, right? We always talk about what happens in-game, how players perform in-game, but it's our game, in those little moments, what is someone going to say to get your team back on the right track for success in a series?
Absolutely. I also think, like, if you think about the chemistry we talked about on the side of Sentinels, when we went to that first listen-in on Argyle, I was so impressed because you have, as we said, players with very, very big, bold personalities on this team. And I think we just saw essentially clinical teamwork out of them on Argyle, and they'll need to bring that once again here. Bring the fire, bring the pace in game number 3, but if they can keep those really clear communications in those listen-ins, I think they'll find a lot of success here on this game type.
Well, we're going to move away from this main stage game for just a second, but the score isn't going to change. The teams are, though. It's FaZe Clan versus Na'Vi, and the series is tied here at 1-1. The European powerhouse, who have picked up Snipe Drone, are pushing FaZe to their limit here.
And we are tied 0-0 on Empyrean CTF with only 1 minute left on the clock. They've now played 11 minutes of deadlocked CTF as well, and I am so glad we popped over to this series. We talked to Na'Vi this morning. They were feeling good against FaZe, and right now it's showing.
Wonderboy, the coach of Na'Vi, said to me, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over, and Mighties is here to perfect, and right in the moment, FaZe Clan have 3 players in the death screen. Frosty's trying to stay alive. Na'Vi again, this flag moving.
In the distance, I can hear that flag being tossed. It's going to continue on. Flag is already in green. The 2 spawners are in the court.
SnakeBite gets the stop though, and it looks like FaZe managed to slow things down. Na'Vi did not get that flag forced through the green box, and now Na'Vi haven't expended so many resources to try and do so, find themselves on the back foot. FaZe though, that was a scare, the biggest of scares.
That is a heroic stop. Those nades came from Courtyard and they stopped the flag in green. Also, by the way, we just got word this is actually in overtime. So this should be 14 seconds left. And if we're correct, this game should end here in 10 and we will see a reset.
Jimbo's on the flag. He's going to have to do some defensive work. Frosty's there, Renegade's there. Snipe Drone trying to help him out. Snipe Drone with a big double kill. But Snakebite might be able to think about getting this flag moving. He's going to get it moving and keep this game going.
Here we go. Here's the last player alive, and he needs to have a heroic run here. Stay alive as long as he can. It's not going to be easy. He will be taken down. The pie chart will go, and we can assume there should be no spawners within range.
Unless Frosty can put the jets on and get across to it. Not going to happen. We go to a replay. Wow. A replay. The series at 1-1. The game tied. And Na'Vi are giving FaZe Clan hell.
We are going to keep a very close eye and ear on that series without a doubt. And of course, everyone backstage making sure that we'll be able to get you updates. Don't forget, you can also open up an extra tab and make sure you're watching that match as well. And I can bet that there's a lot of people that just opened up a second tab because they're going to want to see exactly how that series plays out.
I bet there's a lot of Europeans watching that right now. I'll tell you that for for nothing. And just a quick highlight on that as well. Mentioned Snipe Drone making the move previously on Ascend. What a roster that was. He's now part of Na'Vi, replacing Kimbo. So that change looks like it's working for him at the moment. But enough about that series. Back to our main stage and back to this game at number 3 between Optic and Sentinels. Tied up on 1-1. Live fire is where we're headed.
And man, you could not ask for a better, I would say, series across both of those matches here. We're tied 1-1 in both of our featured matches with the top 2 favorites in the tournament here, tied up with their opponents early on in pool play. Once again, Stronghold's 12 minutes on the clock, 250 points to win here in game number 3. And this will be the swing game of the series. The go-ahead match, the winner here will lead 2-1 and be only 1 game away from closing out their first series of the tournament.
Optic fans will certainly be happy to see this game tied. One they've had so much success in, and they're so relentless when they get control on this map. But for Sentinels, it's a chance to put themselves a little bit ahead in this series, just by a nose, and give themselves the chance of performing the first upset that we will see here in Charlotte at the kickoff major. Optic versus Sentinels, it looks like we're ready to go here.
Getting ready to get into this game number 3 as fast as we can, and I gotta say, already so much energy on the stage. And if you're on the Sentinels side, the right side of this main stage, the red side, you need to make sure you're forgetting about that game 2 entirely. Remember what they did in that game number 1. And get right into the gameplay here. We're starting things off with Lucid and the sniper rifle in Optic Gaming's hands.
Love this from Lucid. Picks up the sniper and just walks forward. He's like, how dare you? How dare you think that I'm not just going to walk at you? Spartan gets chunked away in the back. Formal picks up 2, and Sentinels already on the back foot. Lucid in the death screen. Unfortunately, as he hit the nice body shot, Spartan was there to get that trade, but early control is going to be very much in the hands of Optic, as they have A and B in their hands.
It's a great collapse there. Spartan was the last player alive on C-Plat. Optic Gaming wastes no time. Should be an overshield grab for APG. Doesn't get it. Does not get it. That will be down on the overshield platform. 2 dead for each side. That should have been an Optic grab. Somehow they don't get it in the end. Here comes Formal.
I think it's still down. Formal's last alive here, and he's going to get the overshield. He did a lot of work.
Maybe it works out for the best.
Keeping Sentinels away from it. I think he hit a nice body shot and sniped another player. We just didn't quite catch on screen, but while all of this fighting is going down on this side of the map and Optic have had to expend so many resources, Sentinels have done a good job of turning things around. They're scoring momentarily, but now you're seeing the push coming from Optic.
Here comes Formal here, just going sandbags right away with the sniper rifle. 25-3 off of the opening, does not connect on Nest Bridge, but he has all the tools to play with. Eventually he'll be taken down, 1 dead apiece.
Kuhlect trying to hold at the moment, put pressure onto these players inside a B, but the kill will come in. Spartan does fall, so Optic once again scoring now with an AB hold. 30 points on the board already for them. Big 1v1 here, but no Kuhlect. Unfortunately, he finds that ledge a little bit slippier than he anticipated.
Gotta watch the toes. You can't step a toe over the edge, you might just slip off. So Kuhlect, if you're just joining us here with an absolute pop-off in game number 1. However, in this game, we'll see if he can bounce back from that performance. Of course, getting 50-22 in that Slayer now as we take a look exactly what Sentinels might be able to do as they will start to cap B as well. B and C now in their hands, and they will put a few more points on the board, but they trail early on, 50-7.
Do have TriPPPeY in the death screen though, so there's an opportunity for them to at least take a little bit of space, make a few more risky plays. Nice shots coming in from LethuL, backs that player down. But another overshield now goes into the hands of Optic, so even though Sentinels managed to work away and get control, that missed shot with the plasma pistol could be a real nail in the coffin though. Nick wasn't able to connect, and that means that not only Formal can work with his teammates to get B in the hands of Optic, he still has overshield to play with and move forward.
Look at Formal putting on the dance moves, little jump, little jive. He just tiptoes right around that green gun and will maintain the overshield control as well. Optic Gaming picking up where they left off in that game number 2, and they will continue to pick up even more kills, even more points on the board. For a moment, it looked like a trip cap. However, it will be an AC hold, and now they're going to push B yet again.
Yeah, Kuhlect. He's going to be toast here, even though he wins his 1v1. You can see a triple cap is in effect, and APG with a sniper rifle now is going to be able to pick off anyone who steps into a stronghold. Sentinels are in a chokehold at the moment, and Optic are looking extremely, extremely strong.
And like we said, a game like that in game number 2, that is not just a game 2 Slayer win. That is a convincing victory for Optic Gaming and an absolutely deflating game for Sentinels. It looks like that has carried over here into game number 3. It's 117-23.
And the story of the game has been the overshields, right? Every single time we've seen Optic pick up the overshield, they've made a play with it, and it has turned into points. That is the point of getting that power on your side. Get those power-ups, you can make plays, And it turns into that scoring opportunity. 132 and rising at the moment. You can see that Sentinels kind of split across the map. LethuL in a 1v1. He's going to lose that one against Lucid as well. Sentinels 3 dead. You heard the sniper rifle ringing out as well. Sentinels struggling at the moment in game 3.
Absolutely being outslayed by a huge margin as well. 28-14 right now in favor of Optic Gaming, and it's going to be TriPPPeY, who's 9-4 in the match right now, leading the way.
Lucid going to fly out, try and clean up the damage done by his teammate. Will be able to do so. LethuL will fall as well. There's 2. Spartan going to be challenging. Lucid just trying to buy time for his teammates to get in position to help. Almost manages to do so. TriPPPeY will be there to get the cleanup. And Sentinels finally stop the bleeding. They have A, B control, but they've got a long, long way to go here. And Optic still just in control of the positions on the map that you need to have bodies present. They flip A almost without contest. And now you can see the battle for B is going down.
Look how well TriPPPeY stays alive there. It just really paves the way here for APG with the overshield to push it. Lucid is there to help as well, and they will now continue pushing in on B. It's a perfect push there out of A into B. They saw that C was flipping, and they're able to get control. APG has company in B, though.
He certainly does. You can see the hill being contested here. Kuhlect picks up one. APG kind of last alive. Other players on the respawn. Oh! LethuL had no idea APG was there, and APG said, "Good morning, LethuL. I am here, my friend."
Look at that. Quite an angle there from APG, and Spartan is able to stay alive, but he's the last guy alive. Players are going to be spawning here on dummies. They're pushed back yet again. It's 176-28.
Sentinels at the moment just seem like they do the first part pretty good. They get 2 strongholds in their control. They have numbers on the map, but they're not quite on the same page on the next play. Like, do they want to try and push a trip? Do they want to try and hold? And it's allowing Optic to get back on the map a little bit too easily here. Looking across the stats at the moment, Lucid back to form, 11-6 for him. TriPPPeY, like you mentioned, 10-5, double positive as well. On the other side, LethuL 3-11. Kuhlect with 10 deaths as well, and this is what I meant about this Sentinels lineup. Sometimes a few too many deaths means that you just don't have the numbers to fight.
Perfect flank there from Lucid. The damage came in on the pillars. Lucid was just a second late, but not to worry. He flanks around pillars, back to sandbags, to then cut off the nest angle as well. This is the home stretch for Optic Gaming. Another huge lead. It's 216-28.
Nick tries to fly in to finish off the damage, but look at the difference here. How hard Nick's having to work just to clean up the one-shot. Kuhlect, though, with the sniper rifle. Maybe once again, he can be the spark. He can create something out of nothing. And off of the back of the sniper rifle pickup as well, you also see flash in front of his eyes. Sentinels have their first overshield in quite some time. So the problem here for Sentinels, even with the power in their hands, they don't have any mistakes left. One mistake here, 228 turns into 250 very, very quickly.
That's right, no room for error. It's a BC hold, but the first kill will come in once again for Optic Gaming. Those are traded out. TriPPPeY gets blasted back by the repulsor of KingNick, so that will be 2 dead for Optic. Maybe an opportunity for quite a comeback, but as you say, Sentinels, 0 room for error.
Nick did a huge amount of damage there, tried to clean the kill up, but Lucid just too good in that 1v1 scenario. And that would have been a triple cap if he had picked up that kill, but Sentinels for the first time have some map presence. You're going to see the fight for B break out. LethuL now has to stay alive as long as he can, has to just contest, and even better than that, he picks up 1, he picks up 2, flying out of B to make sure that he's completely in their control, and now makes the play on A as well.
3 dead yet again. He will get A right away as long as they clean up APG on the scoreboard. Easier said than done, though. They don't get that kill, so they cannot flip A just yet.
APG with a really, really smart play, but
Yeah.
LethuL also played his life well enough to come back and surprise him. We'll get that kill. Formal will be on the flank here. LethuL has to be careful, has to be aware of Formal's position. That shot to the back is going to certainly help him. The repulsor isn't enough. The beatdown coming in from that plasma grenade was enough to take the shields off, and that will be the kill going. Optic 3 dead now. And Sentinels, I mentioned how they have no mistakes left. They're hanging on by a thread, but they're hanging on.
APG, last player alive, back-to-back. That means back-to-back 4 deads coming in for Sentinels. It's great control. You have to wonder, is it too little too late? They've just put an 80-point run on the board, so now they find themselves down by just over 100, but they will need to continue this for another few minutes, and they will have to continue to rule in the slaying category.
4v4 on the map at the moment. Next fight, massive. Formal is going to pick up the first kill, and this is going to be an overshield going to Optic. The AC hold at that time allowed complete access to the overshield, and even with Sentinels making the play onto C, TriPPPeY now has the cutoff for all of his players who are inside of B to turn that back over. You can see a little bit of ring around the rosy, and now unfortunately, you can see TriPPPeY with all of this overshield just needs to find players to kill.
That's all he needs to do in there. They're going to go ahead and flip C after they find a loss of A. Now BC in control, 10 points to go for Optic Gaming.
This could be the game here for Optic. It could be the series going back into their hands. Kuhlect trying to make a flank. Desperate play coming in from Sentinels onto B, but there's the reset coming in from TriPPPeY. Optic should be home and dry here, and just at the last second, a triple kill from Lucid will secure things. Optic, 2-1 up in the series. They flip it on its head, and now find themselves one map away from closing things out here in Pool B.
And we wondered if that game number 2 would give Optic Gaming the spark that they needed, and the answer so far has been absolutely yes. Lucid, as you mentioned, back on form, 20 and 11 in that game. He will lead the game in kills and put up quite a show. Big numbers all around for the Optic Gaming boys, and you can tell by the look on their face, it's all business as usual. Don't get ahead of yourselves. It might have been an early deficit for Optic Gaming, but right away, 2 games later, they find themselves with a 2-1 series lead, 1 game away from closing it out.
Yeah, there was a reason that I kept saying it's a long way to go.
Yeah.
I kept repeating it because there was a long way to go, and there still is a long way to go in this series. But next game type is going to be very, very interesting as well. Streets Oddball. Now, Oddball has been a game type where Optic have been pretty damn good. Historically, looking through the previous season, obviously they won a lot of good close Oddball games, but there was a few clutch ones which they didn't quite manage to get over the line. The game type breakdown we were looking at beforehand, 4-4 in Oddball in the qualifier.
Yeah.
Not amazing. Not amazing. Maybe a chance here for Sentinels to take advantage of that.
I do think it is. I think the Sentinels would have watched a lot of Optic's gameplay here on ball and see them in the qualifier lose several ball games, especially in those phase matchups. There you go, Formal just tiptoeing around to avoid that green gun and continue the control. And Optic Gaming is firing on all cylinders here, but they will need to continue to do that through the rest of the series. Still potentially 2 games to play.
Still potentially 2 games to play, and just a reminder as well that for Sentinels, a game type like that can be extremely tough to play a team like Optic. Optic, like we mentioned, they're the only team in the offseason that didn't make a change pretty much, right? They have their historical patterns. What happens after we make play A? How do we try and approach the map? What's our next move? How do we try and focus our attention? Sentinel's still trying to work that out in some respects. Yes, they've had a few scrims and a month or so to get their game plan together, but when you're really being tested by the world champions, the holes in your game get exposed extremely quickly, and that was an example of it there on Livefire. Oddball Streets is going to be up next before we potentially head to a Game 5. I'm not going to be too opposed to heading to a Game 5 in our first series of the season, which will be Slayer Recharge, of course, but Oddball Streets, obviously Red Rack is going to be important as well. We're not going to see quite as much of that Stalker rifle that we had previously. Same can be said about the Bulldog, which certainly put a smile on a lot of people's faces, including myself.
Absolutely. And we take a look at the most recent time we've seen Optic play this in official tournament play. It was the Charlotte qualifier. It was going to be the winners finals against FaZe. They did get 2-0'd in that game, and a pretty convincing result for FaZe. So as we say, maybe Sentinels has watched that gameplay. You got to think hopefully they've watched that gameplay and they know exactly what they need to do to have a similar performance and maybe force a Game 5.
We'll take a look at some of the stats that stood out in that previous game as well. You can see Formal with a 1.26. The man was coated in gold most of the time, and I'm not just talking about championship gold, of course. I'm talking about the overshields that he managed to secure for his team. A couple of big solo plays with the sniper rifle to keep his team even contesting it at certain points was really, really important for Optic, just to get a little bit of semblance on the map. But on the other side of things, 29-47, a 0.62 from Nick. It's tough to get into a Strongholds game if you're in the death screen that much.
Absolutely. We talked about that we're keeping an eye exactly on Nick's numbers here. Needs to make sure that not only is he not spending time in the death screen, but also that during that time that he is alive, how much support can he provide? We'll be keeping an eye on his numbers in this game as well. But Oddball Streets going to be the next test for these two. It's an opportunity for Optic Gaming to close this one out in a convincing fashion. However, on the other side of the stage, Sentinels can make this series one to remember and send it to a game at number 5.
I fancy a Game 5. I've got to say, I just got a funny feeling. It's a ridiculous thing to wish for. It's a ridiculous thing to hope for in the first series of a major of a new season. But hey, funnier things have happened, right? Game 5 could be around the corner, or it could be Optic closing things out here in a 3-1 fashion. Now, I mentioned the Red Rack is going to be changing things a little bit here. You aren't going to see quite as much power on the map as you had previously. Last season, with the respawns being adjusted ever so slightly on their Stalker rifle and Bulldog, we'll have to see if that plays into the hands of Optic or in the hands of Sentinels.
And as you see, big damage coming in initially for the side of Sentinels, as Optic Gaming not able to grab the rockets just yet. 2 dead for them, so Sentinels with a little bit of an early man advantage.
TriPPPeY doing a great job of just holding the line here. Unfortunately, had to do it for so long, but LethuL was able to walk up that pink street and flank, and he's picked up 2 now, and rockets are now in the hands of Sentinels. 3 dead here for Optic. Lucid last alive, and he will be eliminated by Spartan. So a really good start here for Sentinels. They'll be able to put the pressure on, and Spartan is picking up bodies here with these rockets.
Really great slow play there from Sentinels. What they did is they got key damage bottom middle and in the L. However, 3 dead right away. Optic Gaming answers back immediately and gets control off of what was a 4 dead essentially off of that rocket kill. And it must have been spawns that were coming in on Music and PD there because they got there quick.
Yeah, I think it was a 4-man flood out from Optic from PD, and it just kind of worked for them. I don't know quite how they got out of that situation, but they certainly did. And now they're making Sentinels pay for it. 21-9 the lead, the ball being held in PD at the moment. Kuhlect versus the Stalker Rifle, and Kuhlect will win that one. Former with some uncharacteristic, shaky-looking shots there.
APG now just gonna run this ball right down. They already have control of Commando. Lucid is holding that down. He'll probably rotate here to challenge Spartan over on the back ferns, but APG says, nope, I'm not interested in this, and now's a not perfect opportunity. APG's rotations that we've seen in the qualifier as well. This man is playing fantastic objective play. You might even say better than he looked in season number 1, so look out for him to continue to control those rotations.
Really interested to see how Optic develop their odd baller game. Like you mentioned, it's not just a case of playing the ball now, it's where do we go next? How do we try and get out of this situation? Well, for now, they're gonna have to get out of a spawn trap because LethuL has got the Stalker Rifle, rockets are coming up as well, and most importantly, Sentinels have that ball back into their hands. APG has the Bulldog, so power, as far as pickups for both teams, is kind of shared. Nice little cheeky headshot coming in from LethuL, good damage, but elsewhere his teammates are falling here, and Lucid's making a play with a double kill himself.
All up to Kuhlect here, but I think he's gonna get, he's gonna get absolutely blown up by the rockets of TriPPPeY. And TriPPPeY says, I'll just handle this. He flies in with the rocks, picks up the ball as well. He will continue to add points on the board for Optic Gaming, 37-23.
There was no other poetic way to put that. He just got absolutely blown up. That was all it was. TriPPPeY now on our screens. A little bit of disruptor action. Fizzing away at the shields here at LethuL. LethuL survives for now and is going to hit the G-slide to travel across bottom middle and do a little bit of damage on his way. But the game is still in the hands of Optic here, 50-23. And the odd ball also in their hands as well. Everybody trapped inside a tram here for Sen.
And despite that we see quite a significant lead here, about to be something like 40 points almost here for the side of Optic Gaming, still pretty close, 21-18 in the slaying department here. And that's actually going to be right now Sentinels outslaying them by 4 kills, yet losing quite a bit.
This rotation again though, from Optic. They managed to get that ball away, get an extra 10 seconds or so. Formal will get the stick. 3 dead though for Optic as the rotation is cut off. So TriPPPeY now left in his own, trying to defend that ball, trying to buy time for teammates to get back on the map so that they can fight on a more level footing. And every second that ball isn't in the hands of Sentinels here is a win here for Optic Gaming.
Look at this from TriPPPeY. Eventually doesn't take down Kuhlect, but look how long he stays alive there on Neons as the only player alive and paves the way perfectly for them to add more time on the board. Great solo effort there from TriPPPeY on the screen. It might not look too flashy. He's just holding down the Bulldog spawn and the Neons, but in the end, it allows his teammates to spawn up, reestablish control as a unit, and they put even more points on the board. Now just about 30 points away from closing out the round.
Really important moments in this game here. Nick's trying to go for the oddball, but the rockets are also coming up as well, and Sentinels might be thinking about using this ball as bait. Try and get the attention of Optic Gaming away from that power weapon coming up, then use the oddball to direct the attentions of Optic towards them after they get those rockets to pick up some easy kills. But for now, it's not going to happen. Spartan's going to thread the needle, and they do manage to secure the power weapon, so Spartan's going to use that second rocket, almost wasted, to keep the Stalker Rifle in his hand. Lucid challenging, and that'll be a big turnover of weaponry here, as Lucid will pick up the pieces from Spartan's body.
Oh boy, that needed to be a finish for Kuhlect. He needed to capitalize on the damage for Spartan, and because he did not capitalize, Lucid is gonna get that kill on rail, pick up another one. 3 dead for Sentinels. This could be the home stretch for Optic Gaming. Fantastic effort from Lucid there in the 1v1 on the pillars.
Lucid making all the difference once again, just in really, really clutch scenarios. Optic now moving within 12 points of closing out round number 1. Stalker Rifle in the hands of Lucid. It's going to be tough to push on the tram. Damage already been done. Nickel managed to burst in the front door though, but APG once again with a rotation away. Sees where his spawners are coming in, does enough to keep the space between him and that push, and Optic will go up 1-0 here in map number 4.
Once again, great rotations, as we said, for Optic Gaming. Oftentimes, it's APG leading the way on those rotations, and he's always a solid 1 to 2 seconds ahead of when he needs to be rotating. And you can always see it off screen. The second that pressure is coming in from one side of the map, APG has already started those rotations. They have continued this here in game number 1. They take the first round, now just 1 round away from closing it out.
Optic find themselves 2 dead though. You can see the rockets going down as well. Thrust is going to be down just on Nick's body. And now you see Optic trying to survive once more. APG the last alive. LethuL trying to hunt him down, and this is a bit of a difference maker, right? APG stays alive once again as the final player alive for Optic and gets a kill. A little bit of help coming in from Lucid. Spartan will be able to pick up 1, but that's been the difference, right? We always talk about the best teams in the world are the most efficient when they get 3 dead. It becomes 4 as quickly as possible. Then they have complete control of spawn, complete control of map. Optic are surviving, are being such a nuisance for Sentinels.
And absolutely, let's not forget, we still see Sentinels outslaying in the game overall. They're outslaying 43-36. However, they get crushed in that first round, and now need to find themselves a little bit of a different strategy here. They're leading in the slays, but Optic is still picking them apart.
Spartan with 2 certainly gives an opportunity here for Kuhlect to pick up that oddball, which he will take. Goes down on his way to throwing it towards a teammate, but where's the support? Where are the teammates here to maybe rotate that ball in towards Tram? The shields have already been broken, and they might be thinking about gifting a little bit of an opportunity here for Optic to steal that ball back towards the A side, and that's what they're doing right now.
TriPPPeY's gonna bring the ball, as you say, back A. Lucid tries to stay alive on the B stairs, but the kills will be traded out, so an opportunity for Sentinels to try to make the push. Formal not gonna make it easy though, Bulldog in hand.
Once again, Sentinels had the kills. They had the opportunity. They had the play in front of them, but weren't able to capitalize. Optic took opportunity when it was presented to them. You don't have to ask them twice. LethuL, though, with that thrust, is going to win a big 1v1 there against Formal. Nick wins another one as well with the help of Kuhlect, and 4 dead here for Optic. Rockets up as well. Sentinels, this is your chance to get back into this game, to win this round. You have everything you could ask for.
This is a perfectly timed battle there, as you say, 4 dead. It's a big win from LethuL and PD against Formal as well. If he doesn't win that 1v1, this entire setup is completely different. But now Sentinels will take the lead for the first time in this game. Up 24-16, still 1 rocket here for Spartan.
That'll be 2 kills going into the hands of Spartan. Optic find themselves still being able to push forward ever so slightly though. Nick picks up a 3rd, and surely that's going to be ball time now. That will be a clean wipe. Lucid last alive trying to push up the pink streak, but there's space here. But where's the rotation? Prioritizing the kill, and he can't do it with Lucid flying at you. If that's Optic in that situation, I think Optic are already rotating that ball to where the kills had happened. Sentinels try and hold the line, and Lucid makes them pay.
It's the second time we've seen a 1v1 between Kuhlect and Lucid comes out on top in a battle that he should not have won. Able to do that, and once again, it changes the map entirely. Those 1v1s are absolutely pivotal, and the game stays within 16 seconds.
Spartan gets a touch on the ball, and I think that's important because all the PD spawns are coming in for Sentinels. They needed to try and keep some attention away from them, but Formal, I mentioned uncharacteristic shots from him, gets a little tap on the back for a teammate as well, just to increase the difficulty level a little bit. Respect to Optic.
That's a love tap from Lucid there as you're going back A. He's like, hey, that might have been a nice kill, but gonna give you a little extra melee here to slow things down, slow your roll. Players pushing in here now on the L. No ammo left for Formal. It doesn't matter. He still gets the kill.
And Optic are closing in now and have managed to turn over that lead that Sentinels had established. So Sentinels, even with rockets, even with 4 dead from Optic, only able to get into the lead for a few moments' time.
Optic Gaming taking the lead now by 2 seconds, and what was a 17-second lead for Sentinels, as you mentioned, is all but gone here as Optic Gaming take control of the game yet again. Ball gonna be down here on front A. A nice little grab here, 2 dead for both sides. APG just gonna think about maybe supporting with these rockets, but this should be a Sentinels grab if they play this correctly.
LethuL trying to stay alive, has the thrust as well, so we'll be able to pick the rockets up maybe. Maybe got a call out from a teammate that I'll get the rockets.
Yep.
That thrust is the difference maker once again as Spartan does get the rockets, but where's the oddball once more? Are the kills going to be supported? There's 2. Gets the bomber medal as well with that 1 rocket, and that will be Sentinels again with another chance here to establish a lead in this game.
3 dead there, as you say, full control for Sentinels. Let's get into a listen in here, see if they can continue this hold and continue on in the game.
Top C, yeah, I'm 1 shot. They're holding
Shot red room,
top C.
Formal.
Keep that, dead.
Alright, 2 dead, 2 on 2.
Damn, Stalker at C.
I got nated, K.
One's B rail.
Where? From where?
I think
He's
he's
in PD. 1 shot PD, APG, back PD. On the ball, 1 shot. He's just there, he's there.
Nice, K.
To your hollows, to your hollows.
Buy time.
Rush is up. Oh my god!
Oh my fucking god, dude.
Rush is about to be up.
Get
Side
to
steps, Formal. 1 shot.
Trying to
1
get
shot
the
mid.
K.
1 shot bottom mid.
Omar,
Three,
MVP, full,
Last guy PD.
full
They're
MPD.
gonna be spawning behind us.
Watch out,
One
watch
shot,
out.
one
Bar, bar.
Put bar on the bar.
That's Lucid still. Nice, so Stalker down there.
I have it.
Could be up fast, could be up fast.
Probably cafe.
getting thrust, I'm getting thrust.
Drop walls up.
I have it.
I spawn red. They're gonna be pink and C. Pink and C.
I'm watching P1.
Look at that P1.
They're doing a coordinated push.
Yeah, camp for bottom mid.
Bottom mid in front A. Bottom mid in front A.
It's
It's gonna be bottom mid looking for you, dude.
Watch out laundry. Watch out laundry with shotgun. Shotgun laundry. Lucid.
One more, drive on me. Drive on me.
Dead.
Yes, thrust speed. Pillars still. B-steps, B-steps.
Got one.
Nice.
Another B steps. B steps has shoddy.
Coming up or no?
Yes. He's
Yes,
spawned
thrust
dead.
probably
He's gonna
too.
have shoddy.
Thrust on me. Thrust
One shot on Nick. One shot on Nick. APG.
I'm getting.
Nice, Nick.
All right, rockets.
Pink,
15 for rockets. 15 rockets.
Well, I mentioned how Nick could be the difference maker here for Sentinels, where he's making a difference at the moment. Finally taken down, but 17 kills to his name, plus 15 assists, and the second most objective on his team. And it looks like Sentinels have found a bit of rhythm here.
They really have. What a run there from KingNick. Absolutely fantastic and beautiful communication as well from that side. We'll talk about that in a moment because this game could be over quick. It's 88-34 in favor of Sentinels. They'll find themselves 3 dead at the moment, though. 1 minute left on the clock. Optic Gaming is going to look to be the Heartbreak Kids and steal this game back.
And they've got 59 seconds left in this game to play with, though. Have to be perfect here, Optic. Have to be in a position where they can't afford to make mistakes. But Sentinels, they've been in this position with the Rockets before, and they made it work to get a lead, but a trade comes in. Almost forced into that position because of the thrust that was in the back of Spartan. TriPPPeY manages to pick up the Rockets and manages to do enough damage to keep himself alive and keep Sentinels off of that oddball, but with 50 seconds left, this is going down to the wire here.
LethuL staying alive back A there was absolutely huge. It maintains control of that side of the map now. 1 dead apiece yet again. 40 seconds left on the clock. 2 dead for Sentinels. Kuhlect, though, needs to be careful exactly on this rotate. He's a bit trapped at B here. 2v2, the spawns will determine exactly how this goes. 99, not over. Optic Gaming gonna hold the ball here. They have 0 room for error yet again. 99-57. They need to hold, and they cannot allow a hold to come in.
Oh, Sentinels are getting a little bit desperate here, though. They're flying in at PD to try and get that ball out of the hands of Optic Gaming. Formal's gonna pick it back up, though.
Oh my
32
God.
seconds left on this clock, and Sentinels find themselves 2 dead.
If they do this, this would be the most Optic Gaming fashion to end this game now. They will need 20+ points to tie this game now. Make it just shy of 30. Oh, the grenade comes in though from Nick. That's huge from PD.
There is that play from Nick. There's LethuL as well. Optic find themselves 3 dead, and surely that will be it now. Spartan swoops in. He picks up that oddball, and we are tied up at 1-1 in the series now, heading to a deciding round number 3.
Wow, round number 3 here in ball, and as we said, this series has been neck and neck all the way through. Optic Gaming with a 2-1 series lead currently. However, it's a big bounce back from Sentinels as they come back in this series, and as we said, off of the back of huge performances from both Spartan and Kuhlect. 26 and 25 kills apiece. They lead the game by a long shot, make it tied at 26, and also, once again, a fantastic piece of technical play from KingNick in that game. Spartan picks up another one, wastes both rockets. Well done to keep 2 dead for Optic Gaming.
At least a little bit of visual club for the team. For anyone trying to take him down in that situation, allowed his teammates to pick up the kills, but Kuhlect now immediately turning the attention towards the oddball, throws it out. The pink streak push coming in here from Optic gets shut down on the cross. By Spartan doing some big damage with that commando, but can they force the ball back into Tram? That's the question here for Sen.
2 dead right now. See this 2v2 going down the map. One of those battles is on rail. Lucid wins that against LethuL. That will create a momentary man advantage. TriPPPeY wants to rotate the ball back through Neons up to A if he can here.
Manages to do so as well. Formal will fall in the meantime, but the death is good enough to create the path for Optic to get that ball back. It shouldn't be too much of a hold, you would imagine. However, TriPPPeY is going to make it a lot stronger as he crouches in the corner with that shotgun to make sure that Kuhlect gets caught off guard and puts the numbers back on their side. And now you can see Optic can rearrange themselves in the setup. They can put the numbers towards this push coming in, and now they can flood, now they can push. Lucid with 2 is going to give them the numbers once more.
You got to think the way that Lucid's trending in this game as well. That was so well timed. 2 dead once again in a 2v2, but Lucid with that pressure picks up back-to-back double kills, providing now a 34-point lead for Optic Gaming early on.
TriPPPeY once again trying to be sneaky, trying to be quiet. However, he's making enough noise. Somehow gets a kill, and somehow comes out of the scenario with far too much damage.
And you gotta wonder, who was looking at TriPPPeY? It felt like nobody was looking at TriPPPeY as he just starts to bulldog rip apart that Sentinels roster. Eventually he's taken down, but off of that damage yet again, 50-0 for Optic Gaming.
Rockets coming up as well. Big set of kills here, and they're going in the hands of Sentinels by the looks of things. TriPPPeY will answer back though. That'll be 2, and now the Rockets up for grab. APG versus KingNick manages to keep The Sentinels push off of those rockets and keep eyes, and also turns the attention to the op wall. So Sentinels will be able to pick up the rockets, but they have the side of the map to control them. But now you're seeing the push. Wait. Coming from Optic, and they're managing to wrap all the way round from PD towards those rockets. Sentinels have not done anything here.
They have 0 points on the board in round number 3, and even tougher news than that, if I'm honest, is the fact that they're outslaying 105 to 90 overall in this game, yet trailing 65 to 0 in the 3rd round. It's unacceptable, and it's perfect objective play from Optic Gaming so far in round number 3.
Now you're gonna see another chance, maybe for Sentinels to get their hands on the oddball. Spartan has to play this one slow though. He's got rockets and he knows where Optic Gaming members are. Spots out 4 more, will do damage. Nick will pick up 1. Spartan flies out to finish off the damage on another. Now gets information on those last 2 players as well. That means Sentinels can rotate away. If they can get into Tram here, if they can lock it down, there's a chance here for them to close that lead.
Ooh, I like the decision from Spartan. He doesn't even challenge Neons, but the pressure's coming! Look at Lucid beats him into Tram because of the damage on the cross shot from Neons, and Lucid picks up a double Tommy! That's the 3rd 1v1 we've seen. This time Kuhlect will win it, and he will deny the triple kill to keep Sentinels in this.
Formal comes in though to clean up the damage. TriPPPeY trying to chase that kill down himself, but that is how good the teamwork has been from Optic. The flank from Lucid though is the only reason that Sentinels don't have a full setup at the moment inside a Tram. And that's just a bit of miscommunication. Someone lost track of Lucid. Easy to do with how he moves across the map, but you can't afford to let him do what he just did.
Sparty tried to just disengage entirely and get into commando and take no damage and beat Lucid there, but because he took so much damage, likely from 2 players, Lucid almost does it again. KingNick will finally take him down, but because Spartan took too much damage there, Lucid beats him into the back of Tram, and Optic Gaming has essentially controlled the game since that play. It's 91 to 16, 9 points to go for Optic Gaming to close out the series.
I was about to say, if TriPPPeY gets away with these rockets, this could be the game, this could be the series going into their hands. TriPPPeY, once again with the boom booms, doing a little bit of work. Kuhlect, he'll be dealt with as well. TriPPPeY clearing the way here for Optic Gaming to close out the series. 2 players still dead here from Sentinel. Spartan trying to make a desperation play, but Lucid, off the back of that play, I should say, in towards Tram, gets the winning points here for Optic Gaming. They close out the series at 3-1, and the world champions look strong.
It was maybe a bit of a slow start for the Green Wall, however, as you say, bounce back in a big way, 3-1 win. And to be honest, it will not even be a footnote in the history books, that first series for them. This is business as usual for Optic Gaming. On the other side of the stage, it's Sentinels with a good fight. However, it's Optic Gaming proving they are in a tier above. In that game, they win oddball in the last round while getting outslayed 114 to 104, proving that their objective gameplay in ball is ready to go, and even when they don't have the slays on the board, they will get the game win.
And it's showing it as well on the other side of the stage that Sentinels still do need that little bit of time to cook, right? They do need a little bit more time together as a unit just to work out what the next stages are in their strategy and how they want to approach some of the game types, because against Optic, don't have a chance to make those mistakes. They get highlighted. I mean, in some ways it's a good thing, right? Because they're going to highlight where your weaknesses are better than anyone can in those game types. And even though they managed to take that round away, it wasn't enough. Optic are looking extremely strong in series number 1 here.
I think they have a lot to be proud of in that first series. It's not easy to go down as a world champion. You just got a ring on your finger. It's not easy to lose the game in front of a live crowd in the first series, of course, and so many people watching online as well. But they bounced back in the biggest of ways in the end. 271 to 154 is your total in the game in terms of oddball points on the board. Here's a look at damage as well. And Lucid in the 9K club, and unsurprisingly, big damage coming out of everyone on Sentinels, being that they outslayed by 10. However, in the end, as we said, not something that will be remembered. Sentinels will go back to the playbook, take a look at the rest of the series for the rest of the day. Optic Gaming will do the same, but they'll do it with a game win on the board. 3-1 is your final score.
Yeah, like you say, they'll be able to do it while looking back at this series graphic, which shows 3 back-to-back games for Optic, all going in their favor. Didn't even have to go to that game 5 Slayer recharge. They get it done inside of 4. Maybe a little bit of a wake-up call. Maybe just a little bit of Argyle cobwebs to blow off on, some strategy to work out for Optic Gaming as they move throughout this tournament. But I got to say, there was a pretty Optic-like performance from our world champions that we just saw.